We are learning more about the man suspected of killing 6 people and injuring 2 more in a shooting rampage in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
On February 20th, 2016, Kalamazoo County, Michigan became the setting of a shocking mass shooting. Over the span of just a few hours, Jason Dalton, a 45-year-old Uber driver, carried out a series of random attacks that left 6 people dead and 2 others severely injured. This is the story of Dalton's rampage, the victims, the locations, and the aftermath. Jason Dalton had just started driving for Uber within the last 2 weeks. Earlier in the day, on February 20th, 2016, he visited 3 gun stores with a friend. At one store, he bought a black jacket with pockets meant for concealing a handgun. The friend said Dalton was quieter than usual this day. His wife, Carol, said in the days leading up to the shootings, Dalton had been acting differently. He seemed tired, depressed, and off. It began just before 6 p.m. in Richland Township, northeast of Kalamazoo. Dalton pulled up in the Meadows Townhomes, which is a quiet residential apartment complex where families lived. In the parking lot, 25-year-old Tiana Carruthers was outside playing with several children, including her own daughter. Dalton approached in his Chevy Equinox SUV. He asked her if she was someone else, and when she said no, he turned the car and opened fire, firing 15 rounds. 10 of those shell casings were recovered by police at the crime scene. Carruthers was struck multiple times in her legs, arms, and back, but despite her crucial injuries, she managed to shield the children and warn them to run inside. Her actions likely saved lives that day. Tiana survived after multiple surgeries, becoming the first known victim of Dalton's spree. After the first shooting at the apartment complex, Dalton's Equinox was sideswiped by another vehicle, according to what he had told his wife. He said a taxi driver was angry at Uber drivers for taking fares and acted aggressively. He met with his wife and children at his parents' home in Comstock Township. There, he told his wife that the Chevy Equinox he had been driving for Uber had been damaged and sideswiped, and because of that, he switched to another car. The Hummer H3 that they owned would not start, so then he took their Chevrolet HHR to continue. He asked his wife to stay put at his parents' house and handed her a 9mm Taurus handgun and told her it was dangerous for her and the kids. He warned that she could not go to work and the children could not go to school on the following Monday. He said she'd understand what was going on when she watched the news and that his name may or may not be in it, but she would know it was him. From there, he continued to accept Uber rides in the HHR. None of the passengers reported anything suspicious. Hours later, around 10:08 p.m., Dalton drove into the lot of the Sealy Kia in Kalamazoo, which is a well-lit dealership on Stadium Drive. At that time, Rich Smith, age 53, and his teenage son Tyler Smith, age 17, were shopping for a new car for Tyler. The dealership was closed, but the Smiths had been browsing vehicles outside on the lot. Dalton parked his HHR at the dealership near the entrance. Witnesses say he approached Rich and Tyler, who were shopping for a vehicle. He asked them what they were looking at and then abruptly opened fire. About 18 shots were fired and both were killed instantly. Tyler's 17-year-old girlfriend, Alexis Cornish, was in the backseat of the car and witnessed the tragedy unfold. And he would have parked right about there and came over this way.
Hi, we just drove by the Kia. What road are we on? 94 Business, and a guy just shot some people in the parking lot.
Okay.
Would have been right about here.
All right. Did you hear shots fired? Is that?
Yeah, that's what made us look, and there were 2 guys laying on the ground and one guy pointing a gun at them.
All right. Hold on. You're actually within Kalamazoo City's jurisdiction. I'm going to transfer you over to them, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yep, just stay on the line.
The attack marked a terrifying escalation, turning a family outing into a devastating tragedy. Just 15 minutes later, Dalton pulled into the parking lot of a Cracker Barrel restaurant in Oshtemo Township, just off Interstate 94. This was a popular stop for travelers and locals, located next to hotels and gas stations in a busy commercial area. In the lot, 5 women had gathered near 2 vehicles after an evening out. Mary Lou Nye, age 62, Mary Jo Nye, age 60, not related to Mary Lou, even though they share the same last name. Dorothy Brown, age 74, Barbara Hawthorne, age 68, and Abby Kopf, age 14. Dalton pulled up alongside them and opened fire at a point-blank range. Mary Lou, Mary Jo, Judy, and Barbara were killed instantly. Abby Kopf was shot in the head and initially pronounced dead, but miraculously she survived after an emergency brain surgery, though with lifelong challenges. The Cracker Barrel scene was the deadliest, leaving 4 dead and 1 gravely injured. Witnesses described chaos in the parking lot as diners ran for safety, not knowing if more gunmen were nearby. Shortly after midnight, police spotted Dalton's Chevy HHR. He was pulled over without resistance, and inside, officers found a handgun that he had used in the shootings. Investigators later confirmed that Dalton had continued to give Uber rides in between the shootings, calmly picking up and dropping off passengers as if nothing had happened. In total, Dalton killed 6 people and injured 2 more. Those killed were Rich Smith, age 53, Tyler Smith, age 17, Mary Lou Nye, age 62, Mary Jo Nye, age 60, Dorothy Brown, age 74, and Barbara Hawthorne, age 68, and the 2 survivors are Tiana Carruthers, age 25, and Abby Kopf, age 14. Dalton later claimed that his actions were influenced by the Uber app, saying it displayed satanic symbols and controlled his mind. Prosecutors dismissed these claims as delusional, and in January of 2019, Dalton pled guilty on all charges. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. In a later interview with Dalton's wife, Carol, she said that day she was with the children running errands. She said Dalton spent time with a friend and visited several gun stores. She said he seemed down and had a different demeanor. And according to police documents, Carol spoke with Dalton on the phone during the day of the shootings. She later met him at his parents' house. He asked her for the keys to the second vehicle because the one he had been driving was damaged, so he could continue driving Uber. She saw a gun in his pocket and asked him if he was drunk. She was very concerned. She was told by Dalton that they should not go back to school or work the next day and that she would know what was happening once she watched the news. After switching cars, Dalton also changed weapons at least once. Police believe one gun jammed and that led to the switch. He owned several firearms, and after the car switch, he reportedly switched to handguns. In closing, the Kalamazoo shootings left deep scars on the community. Families lost loved ones in random acts of violence, and survivors continue to carry the weight of that night. The case of Jason Dalton is a chilling reminder of how quickly ordinary spaces, a parking lot, a dealership, a family restaurant, can become scenes of tragedy. 6 innocent lives were taken, 2 survivors continue to inspire others with their resilience, and one man, Jason Dalton, will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Please be sure to leave me a comment regarding this case and let me know what you think. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you the next time.